Hi. All right. Bryce Ferris. First assignment. Nice to meet you. So my assigned reading for Jigsaw reading number one was the Leadership for Societal Impact. This was written by the Center for Creative Leadership. They refer to themselves as CCL throughout it. So if I say CCL, that's what I'm talking about. So this article started out with kind of a example of their leadership solution in progress. So it's talking about Coca-Cola, the World Wildlife Fund, and an inventor named Dean Kamen. Basically, and it's explaining their story of how they partnered, all three of them partnered together to find a clean water solution. So the World Wildlife Fund had been an organization, I think, since 2007, and their mission is just finding sustainable practices for organizations and protecting our ecosystem. So they had been developing different solutions and other things to use uh, throughout the world to help protect our ecosystem and environment. And then Coca-Cola started to get more environmentally focused around, I think it's in 2016. So they had the means, and World Wildlife Fund already had the ideas. So they partnered together and started working with Coca-Cola. Because for Coca-Cola, that's important for them because specifically they're focused on pure water and focusing on how to keep a sustainable water source because Coca-Cola needs water for all of its products. And then Dean Kamen came in the mix because he is the inventor of it's called a slingshot water purifier, which is a device that just purifies water. So for low-income countries and places without sustainable sources of water, they can now create their own. Um, Basically, it just comes down to no these large societal issues cannot be solved alone. It will require multiple organizations and people working together to solve. Um, I think one of the quotes that the Coca-Cola CEO at the time said is, "None of us can make large-scale, lasting change alone." So the CCOs has a three-phase plan they developed for leadership strategies for societal impact. So one is begin with discovery, two is form a four-level leadership strategy, and three is then design leadership solutions across four levels. So then it gets into a section, what's going on. Basically, it's just explaining that benefits are starting to find it benefits the business long term to help solve societal issues in the areas that they work and market to. Um, and this that's a term called connected capitalism. Basically, is defining that. Um, and they think it's necessary to understand, develop, and mobilize their leadership capabilities based on that to respond to these societal challenges and still remain profitable. Um, CSV, which is creating shared value, it basically is just another way of saying it, merging organizational self-interest and societal interest and enhancing a company's competitiveness while improving the economic and social conditions in the country or community where it operates. And it's often because the societal issue is identified that creates an economic issue for the company. And I was just thinking of examples for this. I'd say is like if transportation is an issue in a certain community, a company might not be able to have enough workers come in on at any time that they need. So they might set up a rail system or cars or something to help their workers get to their company. And that's solving the company's issue while also solving the community's issue at the same time. Anyway, on to phase one. I'm actually going to define leadership strategy is it represents a set of choices in developing leadership in support of a mission and strategy. So it's not actually an action, it's an idea. Um, so phase one is discovery. So with those societal leadership strategies, it's focused on leadership inside and outside of the organization. It's not just within. Um, and that's in support of addressing specific societal needs and results. And for all of these strategies, you're going to need more than one strategy. It has to be, it'll be multiple strategies, and there has to be collaboration between organizations. It cannot be done alone. So the discovery process, it takes a close look at realities and opportunities and challenges that are faced by the organization. And then it will also drive dialogue based on the mission, business strategy, the leadership, and the societal impact, and how they're understood within and beyond the organization. So that's just kind of looking at the situation that they're in and then providing topics to talk about and really understand and discuss within and without an organization on how they impact that issue. So the internal lens is looking at the leadership required to achieve the mission within the organization, while the external lens is assessing the desired impact in societal spheres and other organizations that are working on the issue, because your organization is going to have to work with several others to accomplish any large societal task. So phase 2 is form a 4-level leadership plan. Leadership must be developed across all levels of human society, and the 4 levels are individual, groups, organizations, and society. So at the individual level, level 1, everyone has an inner self and social identity that is a foundation for leadership development. So, I mean, everyone's raised a certain way and grows up and has different experiences that are their inner self, so they're going to react differently to certain things. And then their social identity, me, a college student, is different than a celebrity, is different than an athlete. So those all go into consideration for that. But a big thing to stress here is that everyone is part of the leadership process, whether or not you're in a leadership role or not. Every role is a leadership role when it comes to solving these issues. So you need to work on developing your leadership skills no matter what position you are. But specifically, senior leaders need to develop themselves first and then act as role models for the rest of the organization. And then they should focus on start developing other senior personnel. And then it kind of like, I think of it as like a waterfall. It flows down then to the middle level management and then to the lower personnel. But everyone should get focused on getting this development. And then level 2 is groups and teams. So most organizations, it's high performing teams get things done. So the big thing here is that you're trying to develop leadership capacity among groups, not within groups. So they should be able to work at a very high level, both within their group and with other groups collaboratively. So they say specifically a big thing within just groups of smaller teams is trust. It's critical. It's hard to earn and easy to break. So focusing on trust is important there. And then we get to level 3, which is the organization. The culture determines the norms for an organization is basically the big thing here. So implementing a culture that values like the policy systems, how decisions are made, what takes priority, and like getting people to understand how they are to do their jobs. Those all matter. And that's kind of the culture of an organization, and that's what we're talking about for level 3 here. And someone said, where strategy conflicts with culture, culture always wins. So you can implement whatever strategy you think is going to work, but if the culture doesn't match it, no one's going to follow through on it. Culture should encourage adapting to rapid changes. It should be well considered, and clear leadership strategies internally and externally are needed to guide these changes, or else old patterns of management will prevail. Again, if you don't stick to and clearly have rules and demonstrate these new leadership strategies, people will just revert to what they know. So level 4, networks of organizations, and that's a broader word for society, which is just multiple organizations working together toward a similar end. Something that's hard with this, though, is that you have to understand that each organization has a different mission, a different culture, different leadership strategies. So, of course, there's always going to be some sort of clashing, and the real goal is to figure out how to minimize clashing while maximizing their effectiveness on a topic. So a good strategy for this is having a unified backbone between these organizations that this like kind of unites these partners. Kind of unites these partners around a common agenda. And there are some organizations that are just backbone organizations that their whole thing is kind of being the glue between other organizations to a topic. Phase 3 is designing leadership solutions across the 4 levels. So leadership solutions are the actual specific means for enacting the leadership strategies, which is the actual actions. So leadership solutions have to be implemented over time, and they are constantly adapting to be better. So you can't just be like, all right, this is how we're going to do it starting now. It has to be over time, and then they are constantly evolving and changing to be better. So one of the things we use for this is design thinking, which is looking at a problem with no bias or perceived notions, and then kind of really focusing on people's experiences and prior solutions to come up with new innovative solutions that are really based on a person's needs and wants. And paying attention to how people live, work, and socialize, it really helps reveal their motivations at a deeper level. And it's kind of a beginner mindset is the term they used, which is saying being relaxed, patient, observant, non-judging, and open to multiple perspectives, kind of like when you first enter an environment. That's how you typically act. And they come together at the end to kind of just really stress that it's hard to get an organization to agree and align their efforts on a solution, but it's necessary to impact any of these societal issues. See you in class tomorrow.